8 Shakespeare festivals, which is free. This was a big deal because we ran up against Doge and Rotary and the city council, and others said, no, 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 we're not going to allow this to fold. We've come a long ways since 2011 that you're going to hear about. Rotary does wonderful things for this community, but this is one that keeps on giving year after year after year. Let me introduce to you the president of the board of directors of the South Dakota Shakespeare Festival and the former city manager of Elk Point, Dennis Nelson.
Thank you, Greg. I just want to start out what Greg just mentioned is Rotary. We couldn't do it without all your support over these years. So thank you to Rotary and each and every one of you for it's a great organization. Thank you for your support and what you do to the community. I also just want to give some brief thanks to USD Theater, Dean Kelly, for all your support and given your space and everything over the years. We couldn't do it without the USD Theater. City of Vermillion, United Way of Vermillion, I see you're here, and thank you so much. You guys are great, and great supporters for the South Dakota Shakespeare Festival. There's one in particular, see, she's already busy. I want to thank the Vermillion Chamber and Development Corporation. And in particular, this person works, she gives blood, sweat, and tears, and that's Deb Christensen. Thank you so much for what you do. She was successful in helping us with a Wine with Will, our fundraiser, this past week, and she was instrumental in doing a great job, and it was very successful. So thank you. Thank you, Deb. Our play this year, if you don't know, is Much Ado About Nothing. It will be June 18th. The 21st at 7 p.m., all nightly performances at Prentice Park. We hope to see you there, and please spread the word. And now our main speaker, I would like to just briefly give you a background about her. Rebecca Bailey is the Executive Artistic Director for the South Dakota Shakespeare Festival. She's an artist, advocate, and teacher, passionate about how theater provides a means, and she does energize, entertain, and bridge questions about the world around us. In addition to her work here, she serves as the assistant professor, a new job in the last year, professor of acting at the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. She's an alum from here in Vermillion with an MFA in directing from the University of South Dakota. And she also has a BS in theater and minor in dance from, that school up north, South Dakota State. She's a 2-hour registered yoga teacher, which I never knew until the past couple of years. She's a sexual assault advocate, spent a lot of time on that, intimacy choreographer, and spent a year studying Shakespeare and performance at Mary Baldwin and the American Shakespeare Festival. That's in Staunton, Virginia. She spent a decade as a professional director and intimacy choreographer. This past January, she represented the South Dakota Shakespeare Festival when she co-hosted a panel for the International Shakespeare Conference. She's also directed the Shakespeare Festival here in Vermillion. She's directed plays like The Comedy Airs, Celebration of Shakespeare, and The Merchant of Venice. Through her community-engaged performance work with youth and survivors of trauma, she has built a foundation for the Shakespeare Festival's nationally recognized program, which is Staging a Difference with Shakespeare here in South Dakota. Her performance directing and advocate work focus uses movement, awareness, text, mindfulness, and devising to channel experiences into art, healing, and community mindfulness. She's a recipient in Arkansas for the National Sexual Violence Resource Center Visionary Voice Award and a Citizens Artist Award from the Kennedy Center for American College Theater Festival. I now welcome to you Rebecca Bailey, our Artistic Director for the South Dakota Shakespeare Festival.
Thank you. I'm getting all my props set up. That's the theater for you. Hello. We should be able to hit present on that, James. I make everything difficult. I found this program, Canva, and it gets so far for being able to help me make transitions. Oh, do I need to do it up here?
I can advance slides back there, I just can't click
Oh,
on stuff.
this isn't a problem. What? Let's see here. Go here.
I think it's
Should just be present.
down there.
The magic has happened. Hello, my friends. I am so lucky to get to come here and visit with you all more than once a year some years. And I get to visit with many of you outside of this space. So in a lot of ways, it feels like I'm just visiting with friends, that I get to just share a little bit about where we are and what we're doing. So that's what I'm going to do today. And some of it actually really revolves you asking me some questions. Community engaged work is a conversation. It isn't us just coming in with the incredible artists, and we have those, with the fun ideas or something that we founded on in 2011 by three people whose shoulders I recognize that I stand on every day that I get to do this work. But it's about listening. I was reminded this past week I have 2 ears and one way to speak, and that listening is a large part of what I do and I need to do. So today, though, I want to share a little bit about where we are. I want to do a little bit of conversation about what we do all year. Sometimes I think it's like, hello, we're here, it's summer. But where have they been all year? I don't see them. What are they doing? So I want to share a little bit about that. I want to give you a few teasers about what's to come, what we have in store. And then I want to share just a little bit about the service, the gratitude I have for the service you all do, and a little bit about what we're giving back to Vermillion. So this is the prettiest slide of all of them, so we'll take one more moment to enjoy. I was really proud of that. But a reminder at every point, I go back to the mission statement that has been here since 2011, and I ask, how is what we are doing serving this statement? And I try to remember in every decision that I make, right? So it's important to start out any conversation, and I am checking my watch to make sure I don't keep you all from the other important things. To engage, connect, and inspire communities by exploring our shared human experiences through inclusive professional Shakespeare productions and theater arts education. And I think that I will go back to add in that idea of theater arts education that those things are about shared experience. Those things aren't just about teaching costumes and props, but what does it mean? Why is theater important? Why do we go back to live theater for years and years and years? So, South Dakota Shakespeare, I would be amiss today to not mention, is a wonderful and proud to be an active part of this community that has been nationally recognized, right, as a great community and a small arts town. Nationally. What a gift. I am reminded every time that I walk down and I look at those murals, I go through the music museum. We are a part of what makes this community great. We are privileged, but we are an important part to what is that, to what that is, to what makes this community special. I was sitting at the table and it's, we run into Ray in Rome, right? Or in Istanbul. The community we have here is magical. And I want to talk to you about how I believe Shakespeare is a part of that, an important part of that. So, a window into this timeline. We're going to see this slide a few times, 5 to be exact. I want you all to know, right now, this moment in time on our timeline, I am filling out the grants to fund us for 2027. I'm not only working on 2026 that we haven't even finished casting. I am trying to write, and don't get me wrong, they're little bits at a time, right? And we're grateful. The South Dakota Arts Council, right? The juvenile justice piece that we're writing for from Arts Midwest and the NEA, we're so grateful. But we are thinking already at 2027. So we're not planning right this second entirely what's going to come and present, or the director or working on those production pieces. I'm behind the scenes working on 2027. Dennis is behind the scenes working with Rich on having our numbers lined up. What does it look like? What is the timeline? What are the dates? Sandy at VCT will be asking me for the dates very soon so they can keep planning their work, right? So this is the timeline. I want to go back, though, in timeline for just a second. Since 2024 until now, our audition submissions to work with SDSF have nearly doubled. In 2024, from across the country, even some international, we had 172 submissions, video submissions. We did a few in person, and then we had about 200 through ACTF, but they're auditioning for everything, and we were just on that list. But 172 people said, I want to come to South Dakota and do art, do theater, do Shakespeare in the park. Last year in 2020, only so many 20s, 2025, we had 246. This year, we had 379 from around the country, several international, several I had to turn down because they are Actors Equity, and we are not currently set up, and you can't get a waiver unless you're already in the Midwest to perform with us. So these are folks who can work on Broadway. These are the union, right, that we can't even take care of, but they are asking to come to South Dakota to work. Why? What have we done since 2024 till now? What is the reputation about your community and what it says about the work our company is doing and that? So nearly 400 artists from across the country. But are you ready for the kicker? Here's the next part. For 8 roles this year. 376 people are knocking, calling for 8 roles. Now you're going to ask, why are we at 8 roles this year? Let me tell you a little bit about what is happening nationwide. The change of things that happened last year created some panics and concern about how we're funding. And a lot of companies have cut what they're paying. And a lot of them aren't hiring. A lot of them are taking Hoosier Shakes, for example, took a year off. A lot of the companies aren't working or are paying less. And South Dakota Shakespeare Festival, in conversation, we made a different decision. We said, originally our actors would leave and come here to work for 4 to 5 weeks, and they would do it for something around $1,800. Now, how many of you all would leave your house for a month to come live in someone else's house, which, by the way, we're grateful for, and that's amazing, but to come live at somebody else's home and work a 40-hour plus work week for $1,800 that month? Anybody raising their hand? Hey, I sign up for that too. But that, you'll notice that reservation is over. It's gone. But we decided that we were going to try to get closer to paying someone an actual wage that mattered, and we were going to house them, and we were going to take care of the artists the way that artists should be taken care of, because their work is valuable, and when we pay less than what is fair, we tell them that their work doesn't matter the same. So we moved closer to what was a fair wage, and we cut the number of people this year because we said we're going to hire people we can take care of, that we can mirror the small community arts scene that you all set. We said, let me follow Vermillion's lead. So I'm going to pay the actors well. I'm going to ask a lot, but I'm going to pay them in a way that tells them we value their art, and our reputation has done that. Our reputation is that we do. And so that's why. In that climate, we said, I'm going to pull back to how many this year, just this year. We'll get back to 10, because it complicates some other things. It complicates how many bridging artist roles I can offer. It complicates some of those pieces. But we're going to treat artists, and we're going to tell them we're going to value that. So that's why it is 8 roles, and that is why there are nearly 400 people asking for those 8 roles. Window into this process. So starting in September, August, we're choosing a show. September, so mind you, this wrapped in end of June last year. July, we were getting the online cut up in production. And in August, I need to know what show we're doing the next year. In September, we are hiring a director. Before Christmas, by November, we are putting out a submission with how many artists can we afford, what's the budget look like, which we've already been working on since 2020, before the 2025 show went up, we were planning the 2026 budget. Now, those of you in finances and businesses, you say, of course you are. You better be looking that far ahead. But understand, there's a lot going on to even get to posting that flyer for all those roles in November. We've met with the director. We've interviewed who that is. We've made those choices. This year, I lost them in January to the American Shakespeare Center at a 4-month contract at $700 a week that I could not compete with. We're close, but we're not there, right? So this piece of just posting what we need, who do we post to, is all a part of that, and is happening within weeks of closing the next season. There's not much of a vacation. So who are our artists this year? We're not quite done, but let me give you a sneak peek that not anybody even here, you all are the first. Nobody else knows, but now you do. We have a graduate from Columbia University who has also been working at Oregon Shakespeare Festival and the La Jolla Playhouse. We have an actor from the American Shakespeare Center, our director is as well, who's also a professor at James Madison University. We have an artist that is currently employed with Idaho Shakespeare Tour, so that is also Midwest and working through there. She's also a return artist. And we have a graduate from the Theater School of DePaul in Chicago. Those are the 4 artists that we are signed with right now, right? So you have quite a selection of people coming to visit. So we are at this point. Let me tell you what's happening right now. While I am here getting to visit, we're doing a fundraiser. I am rushing out a door to sign contracts to handle who's available. Okay, that person didn't pan out because they have another contract. Can we navigate around that? No. How do we adjust to the next person? Because when one block falls out of place, you have to move 3 other ones to catch it back up. Who's going to be the next music director? Well, if we move that person out, this music director, how many houses do we have again? Anybody want to come join my puzzle game? If you like Sudoku, I got a puzzle for you, right? So all of these things happen, though, quietly. Not quietly for Dennis's house or Huck's or Rich's, but quietly if you're in the community, because it's easy to not see them. It's easy to not see the work that happens all year. So I want to talk a little bit about how is South Dakota Shakespeare Festival and Vermillion gaining this awareness. The first thing I want you to know is when our actors go back, our local actors who are now, some of them working, Austin Vetter, who has been a staple, you have seen around, who is an alum of SDSF and an alum of USD. But when he goes back, he talks here about what he's learning other places. Look who Hey, not there yet. And he talks about us. Actors who come here and work, they go out and they talk about what they saw in Vermillion, about the murals, about what this town is. Hey, did you know the Corner Post offers both of the names of a city? in South Dakota, because it should. They go home and they talk about that all over from Philadelphia to LA, because that's where the people are. And our actors, like Emma, get a chance to work, and she came back, she talked at Wine with Will about what is the experience she took away with that here. She said, I didn't walk in knowing anything about exactly how Shakespeare was actually gonna go, and I walked in and I was like, whoa. And she caught up, and she had the experience to ask the questions. She had the experience to learn. This year, we have an amazing partnership with USD. We always are working with artists from there, sometimes in different ways, but always working with artists from there. So another way we're gaining this awareness, here's this video. We'll see how much you get on sound.
Good evening, South Dakota Shakes. Look who I found floating around here at the STA conference.
Anybody
So
recognize
many
him?
of you remember Devon from our 2023 performance, and so he's just wanted to check in and say hello to you.
Shout out to y'all. Looking forward to returning to Vermillion. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful city, wonderful company, and looking forward to seeing all the wonderful work that y'all are doing with South Dakota and North Dakota Shakes. Shout out to Rebecca, wonderful leader.
That's not why I put this in here.
More progress. Cheers to 2026.
We'll have to see if we can get him back over.
Oh, it'll happen. It's happening. It's on the list.
Thanks, Devon.
No problem.
So Devon Glover did Sonnet Man in 2023, was a guest artist. We were in Change, and so he was one of the artists we brought in. But we were offered a spot as a panelist at the International Shakespeare Conference in Newfoundland this year, talking with North Dakota Shakes, who you'll remember we partnered with in 2024, and another artist that we had worked with. And we talked about Shakespeare in rural communities, not just in South Dakota, but worldwide. What does that look like? Because it's an international. So many of them were Canadian companies that also visited with us. But that's us. And in that photo up there, you'll see Stephanie, who we were nicknamed the Grand Dames of the Dakotas. It was very fancy. I enjoyed the moment. But Stephanie, who was with us in 2024, but Devon up there, but the person on the right, you probably don't know. His name is Kurt Tofflin. He founded, what? Yeah. The gentleman in the suit. We will pretend like I don't need. Kurt Toffland is Shakespeare Behind Bars, which is the longest running company working with incarcerated folks and Shakespeare. He started Kentucky Shakes. He visited with me. He is someone who helped write the grant that funded this, Shakespeare in American Communities Juvenile Justice. Now I say that, he helped give me some feedback and gave me the courage to be able to do it, because it was a huge NEA federal grant for up to $25,000. Now mind you, that does not pay what we do in the show here. That pays funding to be able to work inside the juvenile justice program. It doesn't entirely shift what we do here on a show, but it changed our outreach. Now I am so sorry, this slide is super busy. I know you're going, I can't read any of that, but there's a reason. Follow me. When we won this award last year, this grant, this was a huge endeavor. There are 7 nationwide Shakespeare companies who received this. Southwest Shakespeare Company in Arizona, Shakespeare at Notre Dame, forgive me, Indiana, Gateway Regional Arts Center, Mount Sterling, Kentucky, that's Kurt. Youth Arts Unlocked, Flint, Michigan. Drama Club, New York, New York. Prism Performing Arts in St. Louis, Missouri. And South Dakota Shakespeare Festival in Vermillion, South Dakota. That's your small arts town. That's your best community. That's where it sits. That's the work we do year round. That's the work that, as Bruce said a minute ago, much ado about nothing, but it costs something, right? I'm stealing that for the rest of the summer. But this is what's happening. And I also want to talk, what other things we're doing all year round. Again, another slide, I'm sorry. But STA gathering sessions, I meet at least once to twice monthly with folks on education work, on artistic leadership, with around the country, people working in Shakespeare using this every month. Right? I have been supporting regional programs. We work as a team, so we're the people that we call each other when something goes wrong. How are you handling this? How are you handling these changes? How are you navigating this current situation? And we are part of that regional. Between Minnesota, between North Dakota, between Montana, right? We're out having these conversations. I am an invited panelist at the Shakespeare and American Communities panel, Reaching Underserved Youth. Oregon Shakes was one of their folks on the last webinar. We've been asked, that was an invite to talk, right? We just were able to sign up for the Mid-American Arts Alliance Technical Assistance Program, helping with things like board development, helping us build the infrastructure as this company grows. Because the problem is, in order to keep doing the things, your infrastructure has to be able to support the dollar amount, getting everything, right? I's dotted, T's crossed. And that's the bridge we're at. That's the place, the turning point this company's at, right? We also are invited to the in-person Shakespeare and American Communities convening in Minneapolis. They're paying for me to go. They are flying me there to be a part of that conversation. Right? So a window into this process. We are coming into the casting point, and then we start, how do we house them? What allergies do people have to be able to fit into a house? What are the vehicles if they're flying in? Who's driving in? How do we take care of those travel expenses and help make that feasible? Right? Let alone, hey, Bruce, how many rooms can we use at the Fine Arts Building? What are all the actual pieces? And then how do we line up all the places, I didn't fall, all the places that we need to be? Because SDSF, to serve or to serve, right? Those are the choices. Even Shakespeare likes it. You may recognize this. This was the 2025 Visitor's Guide in the fall. Head of VCDC up there. That was from Merchant of Venice. I also want to add, just for my friends who want to smile, the SD State Alum magazine. I know. We were the centerfold with our production of Romeo and Juliet in the fall. We had the centerfold of our production when you open their magazine. I'm just saying. So these are all places that we are. This is where we are in your community. I have just a couple of minutes, but I want you to look on your table, right? And I'm not going to go through all of this. The next slide just says, so what are they? What are the places we serve? There's a list on your table. If you had to pick one off of that list, somebody tell me what you want to know about. How is it we are working with these programs? Which one do you want to know? Because I see them all the time. But sometimes we forget. Yeah, Kevin. It went really well, you know, so there are always going to be technical pieces of, that space is huge. By the way, it's a frying pan. The sun sets right on it. There's no shade like there is here. We were sewing ice packs and costumes. We were adapting to a different sound. We learned some pieces about how we will be a rider from here on out instead of employing their folks, right? We are just coming in, this is the cost to bring us in, and we will use only our folks because our folks know how our company works instead of trying to bridge that divide. So those were all really important pieces. We had great response. We had, enough to be the centerfold of their magazine for their alum magazine. But they also reduced to 3 shows this year. You remember that part I was talking about with dollars? They reduced to 3 shows and used musicals because it sells more tickets. So that was a decision by their dean. On the other hand, we have soft asks to 1 new spot next year already, and a very strong possibility of a second that moves us up and down the I-29 corridor. We also have a very strong possibility of having a connection to get our broadcast out to more of South Dakota specifically on our online. We are trying very hard to reach more of South Dakota. it means the dollar amount, and we're trying to work with those communities to be able to do that, right? So it went really well. We're learning about how to take our show on the road. We did it to North Dakota in '24. We did it to Brookings in '25. We are learning what we need to be able to do it successfully. That's growth. And growth always has discoveries. Yeah, one more of our things off that list. What do you not know about? What do you want to know about?
Is there going to be an engagement on one night for the next show so I can be there for that night?
It really was kind of cool. I just can't predict that far in advance. It was a surprise for me too. For those of you who missed, I got engaged under the Juliet balcony last year. With someone who wasn't even supposed to be in town. Sir Huckabee had, and I heard the look I gave Huck as he walked back onto the stage of, we need to get this show going. Why are you coming back up here? People do not want to listen to us talk any longer because I'm very well aware, just like right now, that my time grows short. So, yes, but that is a list. That involves over 30 different pieces of programming. About 32 to 37. And we pay artists to do that. Yeah, Deb?
So it seems like every year there is somebody local in it.
Yes.
But they go through the same, is there like you try to get somebody local or they just go through the same?
They go through so we did in-person auditions a lot at USD. Because our directors now aren't just me, which is good because we're bridging so many other pieces. It wasn't always Haya. They go through the same process of submitting, but we do an outreach specifically there. So they have posters and flyers from us specifically. I do show up and do a little bit different work there. Yes, our goal is that we are always, even in an 8-person cast, we will hire at least one actor on stage local out of 8. Typically, as those roles as we get the number larger, we have more room to give a young artist an opportunity. 8 artists one person might be a single character. Everybody else is multiple characters in this show. So it's a pretty heavy lift, right? But yes, there's an intention to do 2 things. One is to reflect the communities we serve, and that includes local artists. That includes working with the age at the Juvenile Detention Center, right? They can't all walk in and be my age as the artist. I hate to tell you, I have to work a little harder to be the right messenger for those students, right? So there is a lot of intent. And yes, local is always prioritized in different ways to get it there. Great question. So that's just a little bit about who they are, because I need to move into that that coyote is running because that tells me I need to hurry up and wrap it up. But this is a pretty intense part, and then the show's running, and we're driving artists to all of these amazing things. And do I need to pay them extra because they aren't just worker bees, they're artists. I can't just assume because they're here that they're going to do more than their contract says as far as these events. So then when somebody gets a brilliant idea at the last minute, I go, oh, can I squeeze it in? Can I be the one to do it? How are we going to make it fit? But we want to serve in this community. We want to be here. That is why we're here. So where are we now, right? What is it we're asking? Because you all give so much. And that is a huge thank you to know that without the people in this room, without the work from USD, and you'll see USD Theater is one of those partners because we bridge and we build connections to the professional world. But we ask for help. If you have ideas on marketing, do you know how many times we go places and they don't know all of this stuff? There's a chance you didn't know it, and you are the people who make it happen. And if you don't know it, to get out and talk about it, how are we getting that information out to Sioux Falls, out to bigger parts of the state that need to know, right? We're asking for that help. If you have ideas on support with infrastructure, on support as we crest that phase of this, because either we're going to figure out how to support it or it's going to get smaller because we can't. And I think this community, this town has shown how excited we are about what we do here. And I think our community deserves this, not just Vermillion, but our South Dakota community. And I think we're the center of that. I think you all are the center of that. And on that note, my time grows short. So thank you all for helping me tell this story. Thank you all for your continued support to tell it. And if you have ideas or excitement to do that, I'm here. I'm all ears, because I have 2 of them.
I'm gonna have you draw for 50/50. Does anyone else have any questions for Rebecca while she's here?
An observation, if I may, about the centerfold of the SDSU
Please.
magazine. Congratulations. Normally, that would be a cow or a pig. It's good to know that you've broken through there.
Juliet on a balcony.
Lovely.
Thank
Okay,
you all.
well, we'll have Rebecca do our 50/50 drawing. Ooh.
I'm dramatic. You would expect nothing